because of being a member of the N.U.S.T. Part 2 includes one of the biggest transfers of the summer so far, with Ayoze Perez joining Leicester for £30 million. Who's got the better deal out of the two clubs, and how much will Newcastle miss the Spaniard? Part 3 is an update on the new manager search. Martinez is still the favourite, but Chris Wilder's come out of nowhere to be second favourite. Part 4 is about the role of Newcastle United base reporters. Should they be telling the fans more if they have more information? We'll be talking about the debate of on and off the record. And Part 5 is about the Lionesses, who finished 4th at the World Cup. We'll react to England's 2-1 defeat to the USA here on Nova Radio North East. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's show. I've got Ramsey from last week.
How are you, good man?
He was so looking forward to this after having such a good show last week. We thought we'd get him back on this week. And then we've got Rob and Lee.
Oi.
Back from New York. How was New York, Lee?
I tried to look for the camera. It was mint. There was still a couple of videos, but still thinking that we're in New York to come. But it was good. It was good time to get away from all the drama.
This is just going to confuse the fans then. Once you're on here and then they see you back in New York, it's just...
Maybe I'm going back tonight. Oh. I'm getting back on a plane, but good to get away from the drama of Newcastle. It was good.
Definitely. Who knows? Robert, how are you tonight?
Yeah, I am good. Thank you very much. It's nice to be back, but it was a lovely time out in New York with Lee.
Very nice. We'll talk about the trip later on in this show. Part 1 is about the N.U.S.T, the Newcastle United Supporters Trust. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk, Ramsey, about Newcastle negatively, about Mike Ashley, about the future of Newcastle United, and the Newcastle United Supporters Trust is trying to do something about it. It's not going to just exist as to be critical, but it's there to try and help the club through its existing members. Firstly, are you a member? I know you're a Newcastle fan. Are you a member, or would you think about becoming a member if you felt like there was some action coming across the hierarchy of the football club?
Yeah, I definitely consider it if there was actually going to be some positive steps implemented. But, I mean, tell me, at the moment, what are they trying to do?
Well, at the minute, they're trying to get enough members on board. They've got members around 35 countries, and what they're trying to do is to help the club, and it's to kind of give them advice about how to appease the fans and like how to help the fans, because at the minute Mike Ashley, they're trying to get not negative feedback, because one, there's been so many times that Mike Ashley has tried to sell the football club and there's been one reason after the other. Rafa Benitez has now left. Jonny hasn't managed to get transfers through the door, and this is like the halfway point. Can this supporters trust do something about it?
So basically they're like a vigilante group who are trying to appeal to Ashley's listening abilities. I mean, Ashley, if there's one thing we know, he doesn't listen to anyone. I mean, people have been trying to get through him for years, all the way back since Kevin Keegan. I mean, yeah, it's a positive idea, I suppose. They're actively trying to do something, and I suppose it's better than just sitting around and just letting this happen to us. But I mean, I hope it works. But
who knows?
Who knows exactly?
It's not a protest group. It's a positive force for change, as it says on their website. What is a positive force to get a positive result in terms of getting some answers, I suppose?
I think you're right in saying it's not a protest group, because there's so many out there now on Twitter and social media. You're like, there's Ashley Out, there's a Magpie group. This isn't actually a trust, it's an organisation where it's actually governed as well. And they're trying to, in an ideal world, in the long term, they would want the fans to run the club, which I know that's a big ask and it's a long way. But if you sit around doing nothing will happen. And they're not champion, or you need to go and boycott Arsenal. It's totally fresh. They have to go, the club have to listen to them. It's different because it's an actual trust by it, and I don't know massive amounts with it. I've joined personally myself because I want to see change.
Why did you join? Is it because you want to see change, or is it because you feel that the trust can do something about it?
I think now I wouldn't say I've lost hope in the other groups, because there's too many out there. I think they all should come together as one and be one. Not this, not that, because with any social media or following, probably including ourselves, you've got people who love you and people who hate you. And they'll be similar to other groups as well, whereas people love them, they'll follow them, people hate them, so they won't follow them. I think having just everybody come together is probably the best thing, but in an ideal world, we haven't got that at the moment, so this is the next best thing. But they've got links as well, which I actually like, and I'm excited by what plans Alex has for everybody.
Yeah, Ramsey, can a Premier League club be run by the fans?
I might be wrong on this, but don't Barcelona have a similar sort of thing over there where I think their major shareholder is the fans or something? I mean, I know that would never going to happen here. But yeah, it's a nice idea. No, I don't think so, because who's going to make the decisions? I mean, at the end of the day,
one person that's got to make the decision, hasn't it? Regardless if it's a fan or Mike Ashley.
Well, it's members, because that's why you remember you have a say on what they go to the club about. So if it's
but again, as I've said, if Ashley's still there, I mean, he doesn't listen to anybody.
But they would have to, because it's a trust, and they can't just ignore that.
I'd say he could easily ignore it.
You probably could, but they've got more of a chance of having a say. So let's just say it's a stadium expansion or something.
Okay.
10,000 members would then say yes, 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 no, no, whatever, 70%, and they'll go, okay, so we've got 7,000 out of 10,000 people want a stadium extension, blah, 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 blah. I know that might not happen, but that's the general idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea on paper, but I mean, at the end of the day, if he's the man at the top who calls the shots, he's so headstrong that he's not going to take on board the fans' opinions, even if he might consider it because he has to now. But at the end of the day, it's his word that counts, and he's going to make sure of that.
Definitely, Rob. We'll bring you into this debate.
Yep.
Do you think an only issue if it was a fan-owned club, that a lot of decisions would be halved overhead? Maybe might actually is the extreme head decision, but do you think that might be the opposite? Maybe extreme heart decision would give Rafa all this money and might not be as financially stable if Rafa was the manager, for example.
That's a good question, actually. I think a very curious one. Like you say, Mike Ashley is the extreme head in all this, and yet the fans sort of want that head to be Anne Boleyn, sort of no longer attached.
Yeah,
if you get that.
Here comes the pun.
Yeah.
Oh, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But yeah, I do think that you need a good balance of head over heart, in any walk of life, in any decision that you're making. And, the same would apply to a football club. Yeah, heart would, provide all the ambition. Head would apply all of the, realism, what can we do with the finances that we have, sort of thing, to sort of put a lid on it to make sure that we're not doing too much.
It's an interesting point you raised, because aren't you sort of saying that to sort of make the decisions in the best interest of the club, you sort of have to be detached from away? You can't rule with, if you're a fan of the club, your thinking might be a bit distorted, if you get what I'm saying.
As hard as it is to say, it would be best for the owner of the club to not be completely attached to it.
I think it's a good point, because you've got owners from other clubs who aren't necessarily fans, but they just get it. Like, I know I don't really want to talk about Sunderland too much, but you seem like Stuart Donald seems to kind of get Sunderland. I know they didn't get promoted, but
isn't he trying to sell them?
He is, but he is.
He gets them, doesn't he?
He gets them, but he's liked by the fans. At the minute.
He's liked by the fans because he's not Ellis Short. That'd be the main one.
Possibly.
But Sunderland had an owner. Whatever you think of Ellis Short, would Mike Ashley write the debts off of Newcastle and get rid of it? No, he definitely wouldn't.
Not a chance.
He's got his money back now.
Definitely. Maybe we'll stay with you on this one. This is one thing that really stuck out to me. If the trust believes that the club is being run incompetently, if I can say it, if I can spit it out, and are not in the interest of the supporters, the trust will not be afraid to criticise. Surely this is the biggest time to criticise when we've just lost our best manager and we've just lost a player for £30 million.
Well, I think that's why the numbers, I know Alex has talked about, because I listened to a couple of podcasts, he's one with the Chronicle and True Faith as well, is that their numbers have jumped massively, because I think fans are now losing hope. Not so much in those fan groups, as I've said, but there's what have we got? What have we got to fight against? We haven't really got anything, except this might, I'm not saying it will happen, but this might be something that might go further. Because as I was saying, if you're going to have, say, a Magpie group who are going to protest, there's only some elements who will follow that group and go and protest. There's only been, no disrespect to 400, 500 maximum, because not everybody uses Twitter. They're a Twitter group predominantly. There's Facebook, that's a bigger profile. There's people who aren't even on social media. So for me personally, I think this is the best hope that we've got. That is the most concrete, that is can try and liaise with links with Lee Marshall in particular, because Alex has got contacts with Lee Marshall.
Lee Marshall, for people that don't know, works for the media for Newcastle United, the actual club's media, and I feel sorry for him in a way, because he seems to get the stick online on Twitter in particular, because everyone seems to bombard him with messages, Ramsey, and tells him, give us information, and obviously the guy that pays him is the owner, and he can't say a lot because he might be out of a job. So he's in a bit of a catch-22, isn't he?
He is, but I think we all kind of know that most journalists who report on Newcastle, the fans have a sort of shoot the messenger mentality because they are frustrated. I mean, who can blame us? It's been 12 years of this, but so it's normal. They're going to get in the neck. Keith Downey does as well. Whenever he puts up something on Twitter, most of the things are, we don't care, give us the stuff about Rafa. Well, at least it was until he went. But the Chronicle get it too. It's a shoot the messenger mentality, but you can't blame the fans. They're just frustrated.
Definitely, Rob. They are the guardian of the future of Newcastle United. If the Newcastle Supporters Trust can do something about the future of Newcastle United, what can they achieve? What is the end goal?
If they can, achieve the end goal of, trying to get Mike Ashley out of the club, they'll be the guardian angels.
Get out. How would you?
I had 8 days with this,
Come on, you were coming up with a lot as well.
I had 1 day. I'll tell a lie.
How are you guys able to sit next to each other? That would be one to know.
That's a good question.
So,
what is the end goal, Rob?
Change it all over at the top of the upstairs at the club. It's just a bunch. Well, Mike Ashley's the head, followed by a bunch of yes men. And yet, we down at the bottom of the food chain are powerless, really, because it's up to them upstairs to do what they do with the club. And if we can, get our voices heard, but I know we've tried for 12 years to get our voices heard. If we can get something, go higher up this chain, then great. That would be progress, a step in the right direction. Who knows? A long-term goal could be getting the FA involved. And who knows what that could be.
For me, the FA won't do nothing because...
they look at the business side of things.
Chianora tried the hardest to go up to Parliament and fight Newcastle's corner. And then the Tory MP just looked at it and said, you know what? Mike Ashley's not done nothing legally wrong. So how do you fight that if he's not being proved legally wrong? Yes, his money might be transferred around all these businesses inside James's Park, but is there anything illegal about that? I don't know.
Well, not legally, but Chianora's doing this because she knows that if we suffer big time, i.e. do a Sunderland and have relegations down to League One or something, the local economy is going to suffer big time.
Definitely, that's a good point, Rob. A couple of comments just online. I'll never go to another game. It's the same story every season. It's boring, says Scott Smith. Andrew Moss. Follow Lazio fans. A few years back, empty stadium, they're united, and so should we. And that links really well with Boycott Arsenal. Now, every fan has their own own opinion. However, this seems to kind of be gathering momentum. Obviously, there's been a few pages that saying Boycott Arsenal, Boycott Arsenal, Boycott Arsenal. It's a difficult one because, for me, at the minute, I think it's difficult to boycott when we don't even know who the manager is. I know we've just lost one of the best managers we've had in a long time, Ramsey, but is there enough reason to boycott Arsenal at the minute?
Well, it looks like most people are, so I'm going to have my feet up for the first game of the season, have a bit of leg room. I said this last week. I wanted a season ticket at Newcastle since I was a kid. I'm not going to let one man stop me, that sort of stuff. I can totally understand why people would, because they, like Rob said, I mean, we are powerless up here as fans, but they feel like something as small as staying away from the game, that's the only thing they can do. And yeah, fair play to them. I'm not sure if it'll work because the ticket sales are like a fraction of what Ashley makes from the club, but
like on that subject, it wouldn't surprise me if, from the ticket sales, that money goes towards, paying for the security for the next game. It'll probably do little more than that, really.
Another message here, which I think is very interesting, all these protests against Ashley are just free advertising for him, more specifically, I guess, Sports Direct.
I would disagree because I think, do you know when we were hitting, well, I say we, other Newcastle fans and groups were hitting Sports Direct, there was a lot of panic on Sports Direct's official Twitter feeds, Facebook. Mike Ashley was obviously calling out Sports Direct hierarchy. He was having a rough time when it got to him. And we didn't really push, not enough, I don't feel. I know, again, the Magpie Group went to there was a bit of the carry on with going down to Shirebrook, and a few fans felt a little bit let down by that group. But I think that's something that can be targeted once more, because that got under his skin. That's his baby. Newcastle's not his baby. Sports Direct is what he built from scratch all the way up to this massive company, and now he's going international. Now it's going to get bigger and bigger. Newcastle's just where he can get a little bit of money, just potting it up. But Sports Direct is his big thing, and that's something that we should look at.
Definitely. How can you become a member, Lee? Is it a case of going online, going onto the N.U.S.T website? They do have Twitter as well, and it's quite cheap, isn't it? It's only about £1 to become a member, isn't it?
£1 a year. I think it's a tenner for a lifetime, so it's not much. And you get your say. I got an email yesterday about it, an update about the plans as well. And they had a meeting over the weekend as well.
What plans have they got?
It's, to be honest, I didn't see all of the email, but an email came through, and they had a board meeting over the weekend, and you had people driving up from London to come to this meeting as well. So, look, I think it's, like I said earlier on, I don't know too much about them. I'm eager to learn, because I think I've lost hope, and for the very first time, I'm up for boycotting. And I thought I would never say that as a Newcastle fan. Remember I was saying to you in New York, and I'll always put Newcastle, the team, first, and I get criticised on YouTube constantly about that.
Have you renewed your season ticket, Lee?
No, not yet, and I'm pardon the pun, I'm sitting on the fence.
Deadline's only about, what, 2 weeks?
I don't know what to do. There's only one of the group from us lot, and people don't believe it. There's only 1 out of 9 of our group who've renewed, and we're still all sitting on the fence with it, and I'm like, I really don't know. But I'm up for boycotting because something has to happen.
I think it's got to the stage now, Rob, where Newcastle fans have just seen as no other choice. This was going to be always the case if Rafa didn't sign a new contract. That was so important, and they've not managed to do that. And it seemed that was decided pretty much 4 days after the season was over, when they went for a meeting in London. It was pretty evident that they weren't going to agree on things. And because of that, it seems like Newcastle fans have no choice but to make this sort of statement.
Well, the calls for boycott have developed a lot of speed over, since Rafa has, over the past couple of weeks. And I think some of them will be for different reasons. Because, like you say, there are some people who will go to support the team. That's perfectly good. If you're in my situation where it costs you £30 to go to a game, that's a lot of money. That's money that I can't afford to pay every 2 weeks. And I just think now it's probably reached a point where I should probably be putting my finances first in this. Is it worth £30 to go and watch the team probably lose? Probably not. Will
it hurt you, Rob? Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry?
Will that hurt you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If you stayed away from it,
hurt me. But what I can't stand is fans criticising other fans. The bottom line is that they're tired of criticising Mike Ashley. Mike Ashley is to blame. They're tired of criticising. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments for this by some people.
You're not, because me and Rob talked about this in New York a lot.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot. We talked about it on a video last week, and I'm still seeing comments on our videos, even on that aren't relevant to the boycott. They're still putting on, oh, you're going to the games, you're putting on, actually he's laughing at us, etc. But fans cannot be criticised for finding it unbearable to not go and support that team that they love just as much as fans who are boycotting. And, it's just dividing the fans. And Mike Ashley's not laughing at us because we're still going to the games. He's laughing at us because we're so divided now.
Definitely. I think that's a good point. I'm just going to ask a quick question. Manchester United have got owners that they don't like. And what they've done before is they've had the scarf, the yellow and green scarf.
Are we talking scarf, Scarf guy?
Where is it? Where is it?
Where's my bit of money for that?
There's a few comments saying where the scarf is, but I think it's not a bad idea. I think personally, if Newcastle brought out a flag that wasn't in Sports Direct stores, and say, for example, let's just say it's not red and white, and say if it's, I don't know, anything green and purple, just something stupid.
What about the maroon and blue away top?
Maroon and blue away top, right? If you bring those scarves in and it shows that you're against Ashley, but you still watch the game, does that help?
Then I'll look a bit stupid because I'll have 2 scarves on, and that's pretty weird,
Don't give him merch ideas. Like there's something.
But do you think maybe Newcastle could follow from what Manchester United fans have done?
I think it's a shame War Flags have given up as well, because they are now, like I was saying to you, Johnny, the hope. It's been sucked out of Alwa now, and they don't want to do any more flags because of it. It's a shame, because we are losing hope with everything, and maybe something like that could happen. I know obviously the Glazers, no one likes them, but Man United are on a whole different level to us. They're competing.
I understand that, but do you not think that it's still showing the same message? It's going to show it around the world for the first game of the season on television. If we're going to see a different coloured scarf, we'll be like, oh, there's unrest with the owners. Or does it have to be a boycott to get that message?
I think you've got to try at least the boycott. If it fails, then we can go, you know what, we tried the boycott, let's do something else.
But have the Glazier red and yellow stuff, has that actually worked? Because whenever I've seen it, it just looked like a bunch of Norwich fans. And they're still there.
It's difficult. It's difficult. I think obviously again, we've said Man United are a different scale. I just think obviously with Newcastle, the majority of the fans are a core local group of fans. You get a couple of people that come over from Ireland to watch Newcastle, and every now and then just to show the support. But I just feel like it might be a bit different because it's more local.
I tell you what really knocks me is the fans forum, because
once a year at best.
Once a year for the Newcastle fans to voice their concerns, and they don't actually get voted on, which you're meant to get voted on. It's the same people consistently I'm not saying not speaking up for us, but it would be nice to have people who we elect and go and speak to the club. And again, the N.U.S.T want that to enforce that as well.
Rob, I'll give you a quick question before we go on to part 2. How many fans will be at the game against Arsenal in 5 weeks today?
Sadly, I don't think it's going to be a full house. I think it all depends on what's going to happen between now and then. Who knows? We might get some sort of answers or some sort of clarity as to what we can expect over the season. There might be transfers. It's a big maybe, but I would say close to 40,000.
Lee?
Full house.
Ramsey?
You think it'll be a full house?
I think it'll be full house.
So you think all this talk about boycotting is just...
Said it on Sky Sports News, is that if you go away, someone comes in and replaces you easily. I know that's a little bit more difficult for season ticket holders.
Yeah.
But I cannot see less than 50,000 at the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Regardless of what situation is, because the stadium is always full. And that's a testament to Newcastle fans for actually showing that they care about the team.
How many were at the Spurs game in 2015?
I was at the Spurs game. I think personally there was about half a stadium at best.
Really?
At best. I think it was about 25,000 at best. And it was empty. You can tell it was empty because it was all spread across the stadium.
When we lost 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1.
April
Wasn't
2015.
You could probably name all the goal scorers, Rob.
Jack
Colback scored for us straight in the start of the second half.
Challenge.
Kane wrapped it up at the end, I remember.
Yeah, it wasn't a great day. Part 2 is about Leicester City's new signing. The 13 million signing is Newcastle's top goal scorer from that season, Mr. Ayoze Perez. We're going to discuss, will Newcastle miss him? And is it a bit of a sideways move for the Spaniard? That's all on Nova Radio North East straight after this next song.
Till I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll
Part 2. Welcome back to the Football Fan Zone. Here on Nova Radio North East 102.5 FM. We've talked about boycotting Arsenal potentially. Now we're talking about Ayoze Perez. A bit of a shock on Tuesday night when the news broke that Ayoze Perez was leaving Newcastle United to join Leicester City for £30 million on a 4-year deal. As a clause in Perez's contract was broken through Leicester City. Ramsey, were you surprised that it was Leicester that broke it?
Yeah, maybe Leicester. That was a bit out of the blue, wasn't it? I kind of thought he'd be going off to Spain since he was been intubating that for the last year, probably. Maybe someone like Valencia would pick him up. I think it's sad because he's been here 5 years. He was getting so much stick off the fans. I always thought he was a good player, and he proved it towards the back end of last season, absolutely. I mean, yeah, he's been there half a decade. It is sad, and especially considering we literally just have Hazard up front now. And
Gale.
And Gale, I guess. But yeah,
And too.
Yeah,
I guess. But yeah, it's a bit strange that he's going to Leicester, I suppose. But I'm not surprised at all. And if I was him, and I wasn't a Newcastle fan, do the exact same thing. Leicester is a massive upgrade on us. I see a lot of people saying it's a sideways step. It is not a chance. Leicester are a team under Brett. They have a good manager. We don't have any. They're aiming towards the top half. They've got some really good players in there. Maddison, Jamie Vardy. He's going to thrive in that attack.
Is it a sideways move, Lee? Because Leicester, Newcastle, I guess, have got a bit of ambition. Historically, the clubs are, I'd say Newcastle are a slightly bigger club than Leicester. But are Leicester going to break into the top 6?
You join because they showed ambition. Simple as that. I said to you when we were in Staten Island, is that you join that club because they're showing ambition. The 30 million, the club, I'm going to stick up with the club because the club couldn't actually do nothing about that release clause. They're helpless. It was Perez's decision to leave. I don't think he would have left if Benitez was still here, though.
No, we're not.
But he's joining a club which are going crazy on how much is their training ground, 130 odd million, whatever it is, crazy. Yes, they spend a lot of money. Yes, I know they won the Premier League a few years ago, but he joined the club. His wage was probably tripled because he's not on much money here. Will he compete in Europe? Maybe not Europa League, but he joined because they're showing ambition, and the manager Brendan Rodgers is going out and spending all that cash, and he'll be looking around thinking, "There's an England international Harry Maguire. There's Jamie Vardy. There's who else? Tielemans looks like he's almost going to be joining next." So
That's a very good player. Can I just jump in on that, Lee? You said that you don't think he would have gone if Rafa had stayed. But it's 30 million. It's 30 times what we paid for him. Do you think he would have been given a choice? Because what Andy Carroll said was that he didn't want to leave, and he was basically shoved in the helicopter and told, go to Liverpool. It's 35 million. There's no way you're staying. It's the same owner.
I don't, because this is Perez's decisions, not the club's. Perez has that decision to make. The club can't do nothing. Club have to go.
I mean, according to Andy Carroll, he didn't really have one.
I think personally, the club, in Andy Carroll's case, £35 million, you can't force someone to go on a helicopter. You can't force somebody to drive down to Leicester. The club can accept any bid for any player. It's just saying that they don't want them there anymore because they accepted a good price. The player can just stay and kick his heels. It's just if they're out of contract. If Perez is out of contract, say, at the end of this year, then obviously he's got to find a new club.
So you never bought the Carroll stuff? They basically railroaded into it?
Look at that, what's on screen, everyone at home.
Bit of both.
The club want to keep growing as much as they can, and that's something I like. I spoke with the manager, and that was important. That made me feel very comfortable about the decision to come here.
Is that a little dig, though, Rob, at Mike Ashley at the hierarchy in Newcastle? Is that Leicester are showing ambition, but Newcastle aren't? Or is Mike Ashley even bothered about that?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that he's going there because Leicester are going up. We are not going up. What I want to clear up though before on the video that we did about Perez leaving, I said Leicester is a sideways move, and understandably I got stick in the comments for that. That is not what I meant. What I meant in terms of sideways move is that, well, you look, Perez has, whenever he's been in a good run of form for us, he's never been shy to have a dig at us and say, I want to go back to Spain. I want to make my name in La Liga. I want to go back to Spain every time. And so instead of moving 800 miles south, he's only moving about 80 miles south. And that, for me, 80 miles compared to 800 miles, at the time, is like a sideways move.
Are you just trying to say that Valencia and Atletico Madrid, teams that are linked with them, are bigger than Leicester? Because I can accept that.
Atletico Madrid definitely. Valencia, I'd say, are on a par.
I think if they're both all paid the same wage, he would go to La Liga. Leicester can afford more money because of the Premier League. That's its ambition.
It doesn't really matter.
He's joined for money and ambition. If he goes to La Liga, he'll be on a lot less money. Yes, he might compete at a higher level, but you're not playing many games. I don't feel he'll not be a regular. Jamie Vardy I think he'll threaten Jamie Vardy for a place in that front line.
But it doesn't really matter if Valencia are a bigger club than Leicester or not.
Valencia are a bigger club.
I mean, Newcastle are a bigger club than Leicester. It doesn't really matter. I don't think that comes into it. It's more about where they're going, and as Rob said, Leicester are going up. They're ambitious.
It's like a feel-good factor. There's a feel-good factor there. There is anything but here.
Definitely. Just other news, obviously, we've talked about Ayoze Perez, who scored the most goals for Newcastle last season, but Solomon Rondon is leaving the club. He's not leaving the club, he's never asked to leave to, but he's sorted his new club. He's joining Rafa Benitez in Dalian Yafang, I think that's how you pronounce it, in China. So it's nice to see an owner backing their manager and getting the first priority player.
He's actually going. Rondon's going to China.
It's been announced this afternoon.
Oh, that's a shame.
Almost done deal, innit?
Yeah, West Ham are very heavily linked in getting the player. Newcastle obviously were interested, but since Rafa's left, it was pretty much dead in the water. Will he be missed, Ramsey? Ayoze Perez, we had a very good end of the season last season and the season before. He's my player of the season altogether. How much will he be missed?
Yeah, he'll definitely be missed. He's one of our only players with a bit of flair about him. He was exciting, attacking, always driving forward. He'll be massively missed, and especially now because this is the worst front line we have ever had, and as long as I can remember anyway, which is such a shame because, when you think of Newcastle, you think number 9, you think centre forwards, you think strikers, you think attacking players like Perez, and we're just so depleted. We don't have any. Right now, we're probably hoping Hoslu doesn't go to Alav, because who else are you going to have?
Got Dwight Gale, but Hoslu does look like it's very, very close to be going £1.5 million. The big question is, Lee, like everything, and Lee Ryder broke this, is that this money will put back into the transfer kitty for the next manager. We're going to talk about the next manager on part 3 of the Football Fan Zone, but can you see this money getting reinvested back into the playing squad, Lee?
Well, there was originally that talk of 50-60 million already for Rafa for this summer. And then
That's
another
80.
Then there's another 30, there's 80. You can sell a few players, that might push up 100, who knows. But with Newcastle, they'd never buy someone outright, do they? They've got to go and get a bank loan, or they'll pay you 10 million next week, 5 million next month, another 2 million. It's never just straightforward. There's the cash. Thank you very much. We'll take him. It's not straightforward as that. We don't actually sell players like that either. You look at Wijnaldum, you look at Sissoko, they've done Mitrovic. They've done over numerous of years to plough money into the club. I think quite similar to Chelsea. I generally feel if a takeover doesn't happen, the manager will have to be on limited sources, regardless of how much money that is. Even though, yes, Lampard can't spend any much money. I know they've just signed Kovacevic, which they've somehow got around that. But I think you're laughing at that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because they've somehow got around that. I actually don't think that the new manager will be someone who Ashley picks, Johnny picks, who'll be almost like a yes man. You've got a limited budget. Do you want the job? And I think the pull, unfortunately, is not Newcastle United. The pull is the Premier League.
Definitely. Rob, is it a very good price for the Spaniard? Is it because we've talked about this before? £30 million. People that own an Aaron, but probably would take that, because it's probably the best value we're going to get from. Would you have taken that if, say, it wasn't a contract clause?
Well, when you look at price tags nowadays, so much of that price tag decision is based upon players' form. You look at Perez, great form second half of the season just gone. So, in my opinion, £30 million is the very least that I could have taken. But if you look at that, Leicester, they've triggered the clause. There's nothing we can do about it. I'd say if you wanted Perez, if the decision was always to sell Perez, then the club should have, or maybe should have offered a new contract with that clause not in place.
Definitely. Ramsey, does this give opportunities to the likes of Yoshinori Muto? Because he didn't really get a chance last season. Yes, he was injured for a little bit, and he had the was it cup of some sort? I can't remember the name now.
Asia Cup,
that's the one. Does it give more of a chance for Muto? Does Almiron have to take a bigger role at Newcastle?
I'd like to say yes about Muto, but I don't really have high hopes for him. I just think he has 9.5 million flop written all over him. I know that's unfair because he didn't get many chances last season, but it's just
Where do you play him?
It's just
Is he a striker?
I would have thought he was more of a Perez role, number 10. But
Well, before coming
he did
here,
well at Old Trafford. I mean, when he was given that game, but it just shows how depleted we are. That we're literally. You're even asking this question because usually we'd have written him off and be like, okay, can't wait to get rid of him. But yeah, and you're right about Almiron. He needs to take a bigger role. He must be thinking, what the hell have I joined? Because he looks around. He's the only one who can beat him, man.
If you look at like how we played last season, it was a wing-back system. That's now going to get out the window. But this new manager might go, I want 4-4-2, or I want a number 10, which might, we were talking about this just before we went away, is that Almiron was absolutely phenomenal in the Copa America in the number 10 role. He wasn't asked to track back as much, and he was picking the ball up from the centre midfield, and just running at defenders, and that's something that we should look at as well.
Rob, I think Chris Lilly on YouTube has made a really good point. I bet Almiron is thinking, why did I come here? Because at the moment, I'd say fans putting all their faith in him and expect miracles, and we're going to struggle because we might have a transfer ban coming in. I think that's more alluding to the potential takeover. But say, obviously, we don't get a transfer ban and Almiron, all this pressure on him to really flourish next season.
yeah,
Is it unfair on the lad?
I think it is, because when we were signing him, it was in effect trying to keep Rafa happy, therefore giving more chances for Rafa to stay. Rafa could still have been a Newcastle manager at the time that we signed Almiron. And then you look, since Rafa's left, everything's just fallen apart. The hope for signing Rondon's gone. Perez has gone. Two players that Almiron really got the best out of, really by helping those two players. Because before he arrived, we'd get to the final third, we'd be lost for ideas and chances would go. Whereas since Almiron came in, the chances he'd create for Rondon and Perez, yeah, it's a big ask for him to stay here. I think he might up until January, depending on how well the start of the season goes. But yeah, he must be feeling like we need something special if I'm going to stay here at Newcastle.
Definitely. Ramsey, Perez goes to Leicester now, and there's rumours about Sean Longstaff. Manchester United preparing to make a bid. I don't know what they're preparing for, because they know that it's going to be over £50 million according to Newcastle sources on Newcastle. People at the club think it's going to have to be more than what Aaron Wan-Bissaka was paid for. Can you see Sean Longstaff going to Manchester United now because of the unrest, and maybe in the fact that Man United are buying a few players and are trying to do something, and it looks like Pogba might be going as well, but is there pressure on Newcastle to sell Longstaff?
I don't think Sean Longstaff's going to Man United. Especially,
I agree.
50 million is absolutely mental. He's played 8 Premier League games for us. Last season, this time last year, he was only going to punt it off to Portsmouth on loan. Before that, it was Blackpool and Kilmarnock. Don't get me wrong, he's a good player, and he did well. He did well last season. But 50 million, we don't know what type of player he's going to turn out to be.
Look what I said before. So much price tags being based upon form. So yeah, they're looking at how well he's played.
Regardless of how much money comes in, I don't think Sean will want to go. I think he's a Geordie through and through. He's still in that. It's still in that era at the moment where he's still looking around thinking, "Is this happening? Is this really happening to me?" He still looks. I know, but he still looks like dead excited when he comes into training. He's like got a big, massive grin on his face. He's like, "Wow!" I still think he has that, and I think he knows that if he stays fit, I think he'll be a regular with Newcastle. And then I think that's what he needs. He needs games. Because if he goes to Man United, no disrespect, he might turn out nobody not playing games. And then he might see him loaned out in Championship club. He's going backwards. I think playing games right now is what Sean needs.
It's a good point. I mean, he would have dreamed of playing for Newcastle growing up, not Man United. And while it's tempting to go to a big club, especially while we're circling the drain right now, he'll want more than 8 games for his boyhood club. I know you mentioned Andy Carroll as well, but he'd had 18 months in the first team. So
he's not going.
Nah, I don't think so. Then again, you also said Benitez wouldn't go to China, so...
But 2 weeks ago, you probably would agree with me.
Yeah, maybe.
With supposedly £50 million, though, that could be on the table.
Where does that 50 million go?
Well, no, it's sort of more like how much of a decision does Longstaff have in terms of, the club might see 50 million and go ka-ching, dollars in the contact lenses, and then ship him out, like put him in a helicopter, go to Manchester.
Do you think, Rob, that if I offered you 50 million for Sean Longstaff today, would you take it?
Well, you got to bear in mind, would that 50 million pounds be reinvested? And also, I know it's a right whopper, and and it could all easily fall apart from, he could get a career-ending injury. He might I hope not turn out to be as good as 50 million pounds as his career progresses. So he might. Sorry, Ramsey.
We all look at him and think, what?
Are you saying you wouldn't take 50 million for Sean Longstaff? Is that what you're saying? That's mental. If I told you this time last year, 80 million for Perez and Longstaff, you'd take it in a heartbeat. Jesus Christ.
No, I can get with Rob, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, the money's not going to get reinvested. Yeah. Let's be realistic.
It's a difficult one. I personally would sell him because I think it's too much money to take.
I don't. I think you're losing. I think it's a big thing for Geordie and fans having a Geordie in that team. I think that's massive because we want that.
Yeah.
Paul Dummett's the only one.
Having the affinity with the fans as well.
It's a connection that we are losing, and that's something that. Wait a minute, we've got a Geordie. We've now got two Geordies.
Yeah.
You go into games and go, he's one of us. There's a song, he's one of our own. Dummett, he's one of our own. All of that. I think there's more to it than just a £50 million. I think Sean will not want to go. I don't think I would turn it down. I would turn 50 million. There's more to it. There's more to it than just 50 million. There's more to it than just the money.
On top of that, what options have we got in centre mid?
John Joe Shelby.
Well, yeah. Well, you need a number of centre midfielders over the course of the season.
You do, I get that, but I'm just
saying
you need more than two.
It's not a Geordie. But no, I think I must stress this. I don't want Sean Longstaff to leave this football club, and I would love to think that Newcastle will do everything in their power to do so. But under the ownership that we have, I don't think that's going to happen. Ramsey,
can I ask you a question then, Johnny? You get 50 million. Where's that 50 million go?
Well, again, this is what I'm saying.
You can't sell him.
We can't guarantee it's going to get reinvested with the.
That's what I mean. So you can't sell him.
Well, especially we haven't got the fact we haven't got a manager as well. But Ramsey, you said 80 million for Perez and Longstaff potentially. We would have bit your hand off a week ago, wouldn't we? 80 million pounds.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, but especially the 50. I mean, 30 for Perez is probably about right, but yeah, 50 for Longstaff is just absolutely insane. The Man United fans I know do not want him because they don't. Granted, they probably haven't seen him play much, but 50 million for a man who's played 8 Premier League games.
Declan Rice, yes.
Declan Rice is worth more.
Don't mention that name to me.
But you can see why, because Declan Rice has been around the scene for 2 years now, and he's gradually gone on to.
Back when he was Irish, wasn't it? Yeah,
I'm trying not.
He's gone on to change nationalities.
Yes, absolutely.
For the better.
But here's the thing. All right, so you turned down 50 million for Longstaff. Does that mean you would turn down any bid for any of the key players?
No, I think Longstaff's a bit different because if Shelby for 50 million, see you later. I think it's totally different.
Borderline insane difference.
Because I think with Sean, it's a bit different. It's something that we've wanted for years, and we've finally got a local lad coming through, and it's something that we have to keep that.
The Andy Carroll sale.
It's a sentimental value as well.
The Andy Carroll sale must have absolutely gutted you then, back in the day.
Yeah, it really gutted me because I was under the assumption that obviously I was at.
He just played for England, didn't he, at the time?
I was 16 when that happened, and it was like, the club have rejected it, and then he's put a transfer request in, and it was like, he wants to leave, and they made him out as such villain. Obviously,
we'll get rid of Andy Carroll. Who comes in?
It was Shefky.
Exactly. There's your answer right there. Get rid of Sean Longstaff. Who's going to come in? Jack Hull back from the reserves.
Yeah.
If there's any, the next full season without Cat, we finished 5th. So you never know. You never know.
One of my final questions on this.
Bring bang Hatam.
Yeah, Hatam. One of my final questions about this part, Rob, is who's next? Who's going to leave next? And I think one person can spring to mind, Isaac Hayden, for family reasons. That if an offer came in from, we'd probably look to sell him. Is there anyone else that you can think that you would go?
Rob Elliott's got to go.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Well,
Paul Darlow.
You mean out the first, key players from the first team?
It's not even key players. So I'll say, go on,
Kieran
say
Clark.
key players. We'll say key players.
You're going to have to look at Lascelles, and he's probably thinking right now, I have a decision to make about his future at the club, because he's capable of making a bit of an upgrade step. He's due an upgrade.
Where do you think he would be off to? Who'd be wanting him?
Team like Leicester, maybe. If they get rid of Maguire.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think he'd walk into Arsenal's back four.
Well,
I don't know about walking. I think that's
bigger than Newcastle, and I think the top six goes to Jamal themselves because
if you look at that first 11, you need that right back strengthened. So if an offer comes in between 5 to 10 million for either Mankey or Yedlin, you've got to look at that and think, I could reinvest in that. And I think the club would. I think a new manager would also see that you've got to have that right back. It's not rocket science that we are very weak in that right back position, and one of those two have to go. Hopefully it's Mankey.
But can we sell anybody when we haven't got a manager? We don't. There's nobody really that you go. Newcastle are linked with A, Newcastle linked with B, Newcastle linked with C. Ramsey. We haven't really not linked with anybody, are we?
No.
They're all by the keep, aren't they? The French outlets.
Yeah.
It's always them.
No, I wouldn't trust them at all. Yeah, I mean, what more can you say? We're not linked with anyone. It's just it's depressing. We should be because our squad is paper thin right now. I'll ask you, Jonny. Who would you like to see come in? A realistic signing.
Very good question. I'd like to see us give a chance on Brentford striker Neil Maupay. I watched him play a few times for Brentford in the Championship last season. He's a little bit different to the Newcastle strikers that we've been used to under Benitez, but I think he'll flourish in the Premier League. I think we're a good step up for him because I don't think we'd have him long. And I think we could sell him in that. Well, if you have a good season in the Premier League, we do sell our players. He's young.
I think you've got to stay away from the Championship.
Yeah, what sets him apart from Dwight Gale? I mean, I haven't seen much of this lad play, so he might be better. But I mean,
I think he's a little bit better than Gale, but the only difference is Gale's a little bit more proven.
I think it's a good idea to look for Championship strikers who are due an upgrade to the Premier League who prove.
It's
we've got Gale. We don't need.
It's always hard to know because I mean, if we hadn't seen Gale before, we would have looked at him at West Brom and be like, "Oh, bang, get him on our team."
I've said this before. I'd like to get one of the Bournemouth strikers. Why not?
What, Josh King?
You've got 30 million in the bank. And you've got leftover money from the summer.
Wilson, he wouldn't be coming here.
Joshua King. Could he tempt Bournemouth with a 50 million pound?
Josh King's more realistic.
Yeah, maybe King.
Yeah,
I think that's more realistic signing. Because no disrespect to Bournemouth, yes, they're a little bit more ambitious, but are they going to get any higher in the league? Did you want to play in front of 10,000 or 50,000? Yes, I know it's very hostile, but you see where I'm going.
Yeah, Matt Ritchie did the same thing. He swapped it. Yeah, maybe. I mean, he could fit in as a number 10 instead of Perez.
Yeah,
I was playing him as a striker.
Yeah, I think another player that I'd like Newcastle to kind of go for, but he's just got a bit of a hot head, and I don't know. I'd like to see us go for Knockout from Brian. He's a bit of a hot head.
Not for me.
We've been linked with him for years, haven't we?
No, we have, and he was linked with the Championship. I think he was pretty close to coming to Newcastle in the Championship. He gives you something a little bit different. Yes, he might not be a workhorse like a Ritchie, but I just think he's got that little bit of quality. But look, it's for up to. I mean, I think Brighton probably would ask for too much as it is anyway. So I don't think that would actually happen. But he's a player that I've always kind of admired from a distance. But again, the worrying thing is that you look at the teams around us. Southampton have spent £50 million already. Brighton have spent a little bit of money. Aston Villa just agreed a £25 million fee for Tyrone Mings and a 20 million striker.
Are we willing to? Another one.
So why are we not putting £25 million?
Because we can't have a manager.
Who's the striker Villa got?
They've got that Club Brugge striker, haven't they?
Wesley something, I forget his name.
Right, yeah.
But it's again,
it's just Wesley.
Just Wesley, is it?
Just Wesley.
Just
I think the manager would then have that decision, and please don't let that be Neil Redfern.
Well, you just put it on perfectly because the next couple of minutes, we've got 2 minutes left of part 2. We're going to be touching about managers, but we'll end it on Ayoze Perez Ramsey. Does he walk into this Leicester team above Maddison?
No.
Above Tielemans?
No,
Above Vardy?
No, he doesn't. He's got a fight in his hands to start.
So he's on the bench the first game of the season against Wolves, is he?
Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, it's better than starting every week in a team that's going nowhere. Have a bit of competition for places. It'll improve him as a player. Again, I think it's a good move for him.
Yeah. Lee, does he have the potential to get in that starting 11 very quickly, or do you think you're going to have to wait 5 or 6 games for Ayoze Perez to be a regular starter?
He may not be playing the number 10, he could be playing out left, outright. You've seen it at Newcastle, so gives Leicester City options, ambition once more. Shame we don't have it.
We don't, do we? We don't. But Ayoze Perez will probably make his first start against Newcastle, the 7th game of the season. It's live on television 5:30 on the Saturday at the minute. Part 3 is all about Newcastle's next manager. Who is it going to be? Martinez is still the favourite, 3-1. We'll get all the reaction next. Yeah, on No Radio North East.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. On we'll go, finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest, echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
But one of my favourite songs growing up, it's a few years ago now, really.
It's a great song for people on YouTube.
This is really good.
It's a good place too, Budapest.
Just before we get to part 3, I just thought we'd give you an update on a score, and it's Dalian Yafan 3, Henan Gianni 1, full-time Rapid side.
Are we all Dalian fans now? So are we?
Dalian till I die, apparently.
Must be a
Up to
fan.
you, fan.
Must be a fan. I like that one.
Oh, Rob, you were slow there, mate.
You
Sorry,
good at-
sorry.
you good at-
Yeah, so a good start by Rafa Benitez's side. Right out in Asia, which is obviously brilliant. Part 3 is about Rafa Benitez's successor, who is going to be that guy. At the minute, Roberto Martinez is still the favourite from from last week, Ramsey. 3-1 with bookmakers. Would he leave Belgium again?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I said last week I would like Martinez, but the more I think about it, why would he? He's working with the best players in the world. He has an attack of Lukaku, Hazard, and De Bruyne, and multiple others. It's literally Belgium's golden generation, and you got to World Cup semi-final. I mean, with us, he's going. Be lucky if he makes past the third round of the FA Cup. So, yeah, he's not coming. But I would like him to come because he is a proven Premier League manager.
Definitely. The second favourite was just literally come out of nowhere for me. It's the Sheffield United manager, Chris Wilder, 5-1 when I had the betting down. I think it was an hour and a half ago, maybe 2 hours ago. Yeah, 5-1 for the Sheffield United manager. He's done exceptionally well.
He's not coming.
He's not coming, but just let's give him some credit. Got Northampton up, and then Sheffield United needed a new manager. He's a local lad, and he was a Sheffield United fan as a boy. And he's got he's got 2 promotions in 3 seasons, and he's got Sheffield United in the Premier League. Obviously, there's money being put on it for this to be happening at his second choice. Would you like to see Chris Wilder as Newcastle manager? Let's forget that he's a Sheffield United fan and it's maybe unrealistic he's going to be there, but why do you not want him at the club?
I don't want no one else but Rafa Benitez. I know we've got to move on.
We've got to move on.
I've got to move on. I know it's difficult, but
he's not coming back.
First of all, he's not coming because he's Sheffield United through and through, like Paul from Newcastle Fans TV. Nice little dig. Hello, Paul, if you're watching. Realistic though, you want, if this was 12 months' time, that would be different. Because I think he might be a little bit more tempted. I don't think he is right now. Because he'll want a shot now at the Premier League with Sheffield United and try and keep them up. If he doesn't keep them up, or if he just, in 12 months' time, and this job was available, you look at that and think, I fancy that, but not at the present moment, because if he's just got them up, he'll want a shot and pit his wits against the big boys.
But you'd want him for sure, wouldn't you?
Well, now?
Yeah, of course.
I wouldn't.
Here's a stat for you. No man in English football has won more games as a manager since September 2010. He is a winning machine.
That is a start and a half. But
absolutely.
In the lower leagues.
The only
lower leagues, but I mean,
to soften the blow, I've said this already. It'll be Eddie Howe.
The only thing I will say, we'll go back onto the Eddie Howe one, but Rob, the reason why the money's been put in for Chris Wilder is a bit of unrest between 2 people that want to try and own Sheffield United. And I think Chris Wilder doesn't really want that unrest at the football club.
Just to put in before you go in, Rob, guess who the owners of Sheffield United are, and guess where they come from?
I think there's some.
Depends what part.
It's part owned, isn't it? Kevin McCabe still there.
Yeah, it's 2 of them. There's one from
Sheiks.
Yeah, Sheiks. Yeah, and there's one that would be from like local consortium.
But that's a massive thing because Kevin McCabe wants to get them out. So it's like it's 2 owners. It's very complicated.
Yeah, it's very strange, but that's probably why there has been, interest in Wilder. I think even some were interested in last season.
Yeah, 3 promotions in 4 years. That is impressive. And although he hasn't had any Premier League experience, I still take him on the basis that he isn't Mark Hughes.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Roberto Martinez, yes, he does have Premier League experience, but is he really that good? I mean, he took Belgium's golden generation, couldn't win the World Cup.
Beggars cannot be choosers, Rob. At the moment,
I know.
He did win the FA Cup, didn't he?
Won the FA Cup, but Premier League, he seems to be a manager who can't seem to work in a turmoil, a manic situation. Like he only did well at Wigan for like 2 months in the season.
Got Everton the 5th.
Everton fans don't rate him though.
And then you got Chris Wilder. He's certainly working under some sort of turmoil, some chaos. And if he comes here, he'd be working under turmoil, some chaos, and
sounds like a broken record, didn't he?
Yeah, turmoil, chaos. That pretty much sums us up.
It does. And Ramsey.
Turmoil, chaos.
Ramsey, Arteta 6-1. But why would you leave the dream job, trying to learn the managerial job through Pep Guardiola, probably the best manager in the world?
You wouldn't. The only reason you might is because you want to branch out on your own. You finally feel like you've learned enough from Guardiola and you can prove it to everyone. But you don't start at a club in absolute chaos and turmoil. It would just be too big of a risk. Like he turned down Arsenal last season because he wanted more time to work under Guardiola. It's just far too big a risk because if he fails at Newcastle, which he would be odds on to, because most managers probably will under this regime, that'll be the end of his managerial career before it even starts. So just sit tight, Arteta, keep winning your trophies, and just be smart when you go for your first job.
I tell you, from that short list, which we just put on the graphic, the probably one I would have, I'll just put it back on as well, it's probably Sean Dyche out of that graphic.
You'd have to pay £10 million just to even be able to get the chance to speak to him.
I'd probably $10 million worth it for me.
£10 million, that's a third of what you just got
from that list though, Rob. I mean,
Dyche, man, he's turned down numerous moves away from Burnley, including Everton. He's not leaving Burnley. He's got something good going there.
Yeah,
Morris, no. Phil Neville, no. Ranieri's I'm half and half. Dyche I would. Mourinho,
Maybe.
of course he would. Van Bronckhorst, no.
Would you not get Phil Neville? He's
No.
he led England to 4th at the World Cup.
No.
What a
no,
hero.
not for me. Quique Sanchez-Flores plays nice football. Not for me. Arteta's unproven. Wilder, Championship.
I think
Martinez.
You look in the
Flores is
Midlands.
interesting.
You look at what's going on in the Midlands. Derby this week have announced Philip Cocu as their new manager after Frank Lampard's left, and that in a way is showing ambition. Like, because you look at Cocu's league record at PSV, it's magnificent.
very good.
It's an excellent win percentage.
They've got a philosophy at Derby, haven't they? They're going
Yeah.
the same way.
Yeah, there's a feel good factor there, and I think Cocu can do well.
You might get them in the playoffs.
And what is it with Derby in the playoffs?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you take Quique Sanchez Flores though? I mean, he did well at Watford.
Yeah, I think that's really good.
He won the UEFA Cup with Atletico. He's done in Spain. I would be very happy with
He
him.
did well.
Yeah.
I thought he did very well at Watford. And I think the thing is as well. It's difficult at Watford. You're literally given a year unless you. Javi Gracia has done very well to do it. To get 18 months at Watford, and he's managed to, get Watford to an FA Cup semi-final with Quique Sanchez Flores as well. Lee, why would you rule that one out straight away? Because I think if he was given enough time, and again, it's a discount back to the owner, but I think that you're just judging him as the man himself. I think it's worth a gamble. I think he'll keep you up.
Only thing I like about him, he's a good-looking bloke. That's it. Because let's face it, he's got a bit of swag. That's the only thing going for him. I think it's because I think Sean Dyche has took Burnley so far, and now it's a step for him to move. Because realistically, what's he going to do with Burnley? So I wouldn't be against that. Mourinho, of course, he would, but Mourinho will not work under Ashley. He'll only come if there's a takeover, and then the rest of them, I don't know. But going back to the question of Sanchez Flores, I think because it's a bit like Michael Laudrup. He can't stay at a club more than 12 months. He's constantly moved around.
He was sacked from Watford though, wasn't he?
Yeah, well,
he was sacked, but it was kind of mutual by the end. I think they couldn't.
we'll pay you off.
Yeah, we'll pay you off. It was kind of they wanted to bring another guy. I think they brought in Walter Mazzari. The
Yeah.
season after.
And that was a joke.
Exactly. It didn't really work out brilliantly, but Watford stayed up the following season.
Couldn't speak English.
He couldn't. But Rob, are Newcastle after a up and coming coach, a manager that will definitely keep them in the Premier League, or are they after an ambitious man like a Mourinho? Where do you think that Newcastle are looking, or Lee Charlie's looking at the minute?
Where do I think they'll be looking, or where do I think we should be looking?
Where do you think that Lee Charlie will be looking?
Neil Redfern.
Ask him. Yeah, well, you're looking at Lee Charnley and you just think he's going to look for a manager that's not going to have the highest wage demands. So yeah, Neil Redfern will probably be on his shortlist. Ben Dawson maybe. But yeah, perhaps an uppercut, or you could look at the likes of Gary Monk, who
Please no.
You offer him a Premier League opportunity, and he's probably going to think, yeah, he's unemployed at the moment. As is Mark Hughes. You don't see Mark Hughes taking a step down to the Championship as much as he needs to.
Take them down.
Yeah, I can't see us sort of looking. I can't see Charnley looking around there. Where do I think we should be looking? I think hiring an up-and-coming manager is perhaps a little too risky. Let's be honest. We're going to be in a relegation battle. You offer me 17th now, I'm going to snap your hand off. So I think the best chance of that is to get a Premier League proven manager. Someone like, you could say, Claudio Ranieri. Of course, worked wonders at Leicester. Nearly took Fulham.
Or took Fulham down without.
Contributed, you could say. Contributed to it. And in my personal view, I think he does get more credit for that 2016 title-winning miracle than he deserves, because last year I met a doctor who specialises in hyperbaric oxygen therapy. It's a treatment that increases sports performance and everything. And he, as a test, he took on the Leicester players back when they were fighting relegation back in 2015. He gave Leicester players this treatment, and all of a sudden, they stayed up. That carried on the following season until they won the title. They then had to stop the treatment because Leicester, of course, qualified for Europe for the following season, so they didn't have time for that treatment. And look what happened. Ranieri sort of showed what I hate to say this, but he showed what he's kind of capable of. He's not capable of modern day Premier League, and I think that really showed at Fulham.
Yeah, definitely. Ramsey, do you know any doctors that have done well with Premier League teams?
I don't know too many. No. No. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Rob on this one, though. I mean, he deserves some credit, absolutely, because whatever he had, it worked with those Leicester players for that one season.
Yeah.
But I do think it was kind of a team. It's just hard to explain.
Team effort, but the media hype it up as like Ranieri's the face of that.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, the only way I could sum it up would be Mark Albrighton and Danny Simpson are not Premier League winners. Not really. They're not players who should have. So for Ranieri, it's not like... I don't think Ranieri's a Premier League winning manager either. He's pretty much lost most places he's been. So it was just a freak incident.
Someone just said in the comments is Luciano Spalletti. I wouldn't mind him. Bielsa. I'll take Bielsa.
Oh,
I think Bielsa is actually proven quality. I know he's just signed a deal with Leeds, but he is actually world class, and I'm saying that on record.
Yeah.
Bielsa.
Display in your window when you're asleep.
Someone also said just in the comments where I've just seen that, and I liked it as well. It's gone past as well.
Alan Curbiston.
Villas-Boas.
Bielsa for me, I think, is so underrated. I think the way that he wants to try and play football.
Even though he signed a contract at Leeds, if we come call, I think he'd jump.
So do I.
What a snake.
Well, he is, isn't he? Literally.
Yeah.
So do I. I think Bielsa. I think he's crazy. He's unique. I think maybe
we'd love
work
him.
at Newcastle.
Leeds love him. I think we would.
It won't happen.
It won't happen, but it would be nice to see go for something like that. Guardiola holds him in high esteem as well. The only manager I can really think of that says he definitely wants the job is the 10-1, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, who used to play for Arsenal and Barcelona.
And Rangers.
And Rangers, yeah.
Yay.
Ramsey, is it nice to actually hear somebody that actually wants the job?
Yeah, it's good. He's probably the only one, is he?
That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah. I don't know too much about him, but I do know he did well in Holland with... Was a Feyenoord. He won the league with them, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, which was like the first league in 15 years or something. But again, it's always an unknown quantity when it comes from somewhere like the Dutch league. I know you said Philip Kaku.
Yeah, Stam's another unknown.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if Kaku cocked it up with Derby County next season. Yes, I got that before you were off sick. Yeah, I mean, it's nice that he wants the job, I guess. And yeah, beggars can't be choosers, so why not?
Ramsey, get out.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to have in the comments and like keep your comments going if you're on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook or whatever. Who do you want to see as the next Newcastle manager?
Diego Simeone, that's a big shout. We'll never get him.
It's a crazy shout.
Great shout, but we've only got 5 weeks left of the season as well. When do we need to make this appointment? I'd like to think we need to make this appointment by tomorrow because the team's going to be going to Asia to go in the Premier League Asia Trophy, Robin.
What about Chris Hughton?
It's a say. I'll just say
Can't see him working under Ashley again.
I can. I think Chris Hughton's not a bad shout. A fellow YouTuber believes that Chris Hughton would be a good short-term replacement because he knows how Ashley works. I don't think he would mind working with him for, say, a year if something was to happen like takeover-wise, and if he doesn't enjoy it, then he can always get a job in the higher teams, the Championship, or maybe even a low Premier League team like he was at Brighton. He's the same pair of hands, isn't he?
He'd probably take the job, to be honest, considering he had his great memories from his time here. Would Ashley appoint him? Because he did sack him for Ellen Pardew, and if he got it back in and sort of admitting, okay, I've made a mess of the last decade, I'm going back to someone I've already gotten rid of. I mean, I just can't see him doing that.
He might come, but we might have to be a Championship club if he does.
I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Chris Hughton was the next Newcastle manager, only because I think he'd keep you up. I don't think he'd do it spectacularly. I don't think he'd do it.
I tell you, who's not been mentioned, and he actually, I wouldn't say sticks up for Ashley, but he never talks negative about him. Is Sam Allardyce, and he's out of work.
He keeps you up. Like, he's never experienced a relegation before, has he?
The fans would go mad, though.
We would, but that would be the icing on the cake, wouldn't it?
But he's Premier League proven, and I think the situation that we're in, we'd be incredibly lucky if we were to get a manager in with good Premier League experience.
I just think the former Sun manager who slagged off Newcastle previously and
relegated us.
Didn't relegate us, but he was probably on the course of trying to do that. But could he get the same out of the players that we've got? Like he's had with likes of Crystal Palace, likes of Sunderland. I think he probably would just do it, but I don't think it's worth the hassle.
Big question though, right? If we were to get Chris Hughton, of course, much loved figure at Newcastle, many fans still love him to this day. What do you think will happen to the supposed boycott of the opening
I
day
think that's a very good point.
if he does get the
I
managerial
think
position?
That's a very, very good point, Rob. I don't think it would stop a lot of people. I think a lot of people still boycott the game. I just think they would. People would be more understanding. I think Chris Hughton would probably understand it, to be honest. I think he'd be smart enough he's old enough and smart enough to go, you know, it's probably just one game. Are we going to really be expected to beat Arsenal on the first day? Probably not. There's not much pressure on the players. He probably would see it as a no-lose, really.
Just going back to that, obviously we're saying boycott. I'm for boycotting for the first time, but if something drastically changed, like a good manager appointment or money being spent, that would influence me to go to that game.
I think, look, obviously we're slightly going off topic, but again, I'm kind of in the similar boat. I'm more interested to see how the manager is coming in because I don't believe this takeover is going to happen. I don't know any inside knowledge in terms of the takeover or anything like that. I just generally don't think it's going to happen. So for me, this managerial appointment is really, really important. And Ramsey, if Chris Hughton was to come in, I wouldn't be totally against it, as I've mentioned, but if you look at the likes of Allardyce and Mark Hughes and those sort of managers, he's probably not a little bit. He's kind of that calibre, but at least the fans would be on board with it.
Yeah, I mean, if Ashley is smart, he would appoint Houghton to get the fans. I wouldn't say back on side, but
you gain the respect.
Yeah, a little bit. And to be honest, I definitely would be against Houghton. We had some great times under him, even though they were brief. And he is a good manager. I mean, I just went a bit off the rails at Brighton last season, but
kept them up though.
Yeah, he did.
And he's Irish.
Yeah. No, I'd be happy with him coming back for sure. But is there anything to be said for Neil Redfern? Because remember 10 years ago, Houghton was kind of drafted in the same way Redfern would be, and you wouldn't have wanted him then. Turned out great.
Yeah, me and Rob said this, is that the video on our channel about it is we may have to go with the team of Dawson and Redfern into the new season, which is unthinkable a few weeks ago, but that might hit reality because going to Asia, and it's 10 days time?
Not even that. I don't.
It's they will have to fly with the team and do those. I can't see a manager coming in within 10 days. Not realistically.
I do. You have to.
It'll have to be quick fire to get it over the line.
Surely, I'm surely like Charlie must be speaking to managers. He must be going.
Well, there's the report that the Chronicle will go around that Charlie's been to Europe over the weekend, hasn't he?
I think if that's the case, then Rob, is it going to be a manager that we've not even heard of? Because if he's gone to Europe to sound out managers, it might be someone that we're probably not even on the betting.
I think that's too much of a risk. Charlie may, many fans believe that Charlie doesn't have a clue how to run a football club, myself included. But I can't. He's not going to be that stupid to bring in someone who's a no like.
I've got to go another couple of names as well. There's one about Hiddink and Van Gaal. Would you? I know, but would you? I would.
I know you've been on about Hiddink before.
Yeah.
He's not a bad manager. I'm not saying that he's a bad manager. I think we need someone a little bit younger, just because we need to kind of see a little bit of a future.
I think with Hiddink,
it's a short-term fix.
Hiddink would accept what's going on at the club. Van Gaal wouldn't.
Obviously.
Van Gaal.
I think he's retired. Van Gaal.
I think if a Premier League job comes back around, I think, I'm tempted here.
It'd be short term.
I think Hiddink
one year at most.
I think Hiddink won't work under the circumstances because he loves being a coach. He's not a manager, he's a coach, isn't he? And I would love someone like a Gus Hiddink or even again Bielsa or an Eddie Howe. Those will be my three.
Rob, you said the Newcastle hierarchy wouldn't be that stupid to just persist with Redfern for the season. I know Charlie wasn't around back then, but I just think this summer 10 years ago has all the hallmarks of this one. Depressing, absolutely in a mess. We've been relegated. Shearer wasn't given the courtesy of, I don't think, a phone call to be told whether or not he was coming back. And it was the same sort of thing with Rafa. We were like, who's the manager going to be? And it just drifted on throughout the entire summer. And in the end, we were just like, okay, just give it to Houghton. One of the staff.
A couple of names, Michael O'Neill. There's another one. Thierry Henry. Wagner's been linked.
Wagner's Schalke. I think he's.
He'll not come now, will he? But Kevin Nolan.
We'll talk about Kevin Nolan in the next part, because obviously we've got the Newcastle-based reporters. The last 2 minutes of part 3. I think we need to get this done at the very latest next weekend. Sorry, I think we've got a week to get a new manager in.
Because we need something to talk to on the radio show.
Yeah, definitely. Put your money where your mouth is, guys. We'll start with Ramsey. who's the next Newcastle manager? Who are you putting money on?
You won't like to hear it, but I think it's going to be Neil Redfern. I think it's all the hallmarks of 2009. We're just going to drift on, and we're just going to have to go with him, because there's a very small pool of managers who want to work under Ashley, and I think it'll be him.
Lee?
I have to agree. I think it'll be whoever's first choice there, Dawson or Redfern. I think that's going to be a caretaker role for the next 3 months until someone later.
I think it would be Redfern because he has managed before. He was at Leeds for a short bit, so he has been a manager.
He's been in charge of Liverpool ladies as well, youth setups as well.
And Rob, finally, who are you putting your money on?
I think over the past 3 years, Ashley has shown his true colours in how to run a football club. There's no manager in the right mind who'd want that job. But I would say Gary Monk.
Gary Monk. My final thoughts on this, I said Patrick Vieira weeks ago, but he ruled himself out the next day, so I look very, very smart. I don't know, I've got a sneaky feeling maybe Akite Sanchez Flores, Gianni Van Bronckhorst, somebody left field maybe come in, but maybe the smart one needs to go for Chris Hughton for maybe as a short-term fix because he's got that experience and he is liked by the Newcastle fans. So we'll go Chris Hughton from my view. Keep your comments coming in through the ad breaks because I think it's a very, very relevant topic, relevant point. Is there somebody that we've not even mentioned? Get your comments in below. Part 4 is about Newcastle-based reporters. Should they be telling the fans more information? And we talked about the on and off the record debate. Is it time maybe to stop doing that? That's all on Nova Radio North East straight after the song.
Till I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Welcome back to the football fans, and that was Jimmy Neal.
It wasn't for YouTube people.
Well, not for the YouTube people. They had the best.
On and on
ever,
and on.
On and on and on. And I think they're probably sick of it now. But it's a cracking song, especially for the away day vlogs, which most of me, Lee, Robbie been on recently. Ramsey occasionally maybe been on a few home videos, but you never know. Next season, if he fancies an away day, he might pop down and
Hips away.
give us away. So part 4, I think this is a really interesting one. It's the role of reporters at Newcastle United based reporters, and we're gonna try and make this like a very even debate, because first things first, it's an extremely difficult job to keep, especially Newcastle fans happy. I was saying football fans, but Newcastle fans happy, especially the way the club is at the minute. So I'm going to put a very easy question out there, Rob. What is the role of reporters or Newcastle United based reporters?
What is their role?
What is their role? What is their responsibility?
You're a journalist.
To report the news. Next question.
Good or bad?
Real news.
Oh, it's all like rule number 1 in the editor's code of practice is accuracy. So you, even if it's good or bad news, it needs reporting.
Looks like that master's paid off.
Does it regard, like, even if it's bad circumstances or good circumstances, but do reporters need to be not to be afraid of upsetting the club? Because if they need to tell the fans what's going on, are they got to kind of just take the hit of the club not being happy with them? Because it's news at the end of the day. It's, people need to know.
Well, the most accusations are fired at Sky for being Ashley friendly, don't they? Especially David Craig and the Chronicle for being petrified of upsetting the club. I think some of that is probably true in terms of the Chronicle. I would probably say so, because they've been banned, whereas Sky haven't. Sky will never get banned because it's a massive media company, it's money at the club, but the Chronicle got banned for having to go at Ashley, get him out and speaking for the fans, and now they got it telling off and they're allowed back in. You don't say that anymore. You might have a little bit of criticism, but they hold back. Whereas a year ago they didn't, and now they're petrified. And I don't think it's the journalists. I think it's the powers above them. Their bosses saying you cannot go over that white line. Pardon the pun. See what I did there, Rob?
Yes.
I think sometimes you just need to, because they are scared. Some of them are scared. I think we can all sit here and say they've got a professionalism about them, but especially the Chronicle most of them are Newcastle fans. Ryder's a fan, Waff's a fan. I know Mark Douglas is a Bradford fan, but there's a lot of them in that office, and the new ones as well. They've took on a lot of new writers. They're Toon fans, and I bet they would love to write down what they really feel or come on video and express it. If we had Ryder back in the studio, I don't think he would actually honestly say what he feels about the club, because his bosses will come down on him. In terms of Sky, they get criticised, in particular David Craig, but David Craig, how it works with a sit-down interview is, you and Rob will probably stick up for me for this, is that interviewee would say them questions first.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
So they would say, yes, yes, no, no, I'm not answering that. So it's not a case of Sky not doing it. Sky wouldn't get that interview if they didn't answer the question that Ashley liked. And that's the way the media works. You can't just spring a question on them, because it wouldn't be aired. You wouldn't allow it.
Well, it would depend, really. I mean, it depends who you're interviewing. So, say, for example, you're interviewing an MP. I know it's a completely different kettle of fish compared to a footballer, for example, in our situation. But if it's an MP, then you've got to sort of talk about things that are in the public interest, and if that means putting them in the poo, to put it politely and broadcastingly, then...
That's because they get paid to do that decisions.
Yeah.
Whereas football journalism with Newcastle, it's a little bit different, because you can't... The writers in particular can't really express, whereas media outlets, and I'll say BBC on this, and probably ITV Tyne Tees, they have to report their news. They're not allowed to have that actual opinion on it. So you never see Keith Downey, for example, because he's the Sky reporter on the North East. You'll never see Keith Downey actually have an opinion on the club. He's not allowed to. He just has to report whatever the news is, what he's been told, whether it's right information or wrong information. He can't say, I think Ashley's a so-and-so. Off the record, he might, but in Twitter or on radio or on Sky, he's not allowed to.
Ramsey, can you keep the club happy and the supporters happy at the same time with reporting news that you know?
Yeah, report it accurately and fairly. Don't put in your own opinion, because, as Lee's just said, yeah, we'll get you in trouble. But you can.
But they should.
Yeah, in a dialogue.
The writer should.
It's tough though, because you just said it yourself. The bosses will come down on. Yeah, in an ideal world, it'd be nice if they could, but I mean, hard news is just facts, and there should be no problem with people reporting that. Rob, you know yourself.
Yeah.
Hard news is hard news. Feature writing is where the opinions come in, and that's where the lines get a bit blurred, because you can't really, if you're working for a certain company and Ashley's sending in letters to their lawyers or whatever, it's tough. But no, hard news is hard news, and you should report the facts.
I don't know what you're implying there, Ramsey.
Yeah, what are these letters, Mr. Ramsey?
Never mind.
Another video on another day. Lee, let's talk about the on and off the record debate, because there is certain stuff that Lee Ryder probably knows, there's certain stuff that Keith Downey probably knows, there's certain stuff that every newspaper or whatever knows about Newcastle United. But if the club say off the record, it means it can't be reported until the club are happy to. And
NDAs.
NDAs, exactly.
Does your workplace not have that?
I don't know that.
We do at Sky.
Well, I personally don't know that, so I'd have to ask my boss for that one. But in terms of the club and in terms of reporters, do you not think that these off-the-record stories will never be told until maybe Ashley goes? Possibly.
Same as Rafa Benitez. You probably not know the full extent of what Rafa says. It's a bit like Keegan. He couldn't say nothing until he got Ashley sued, then he could say. And I think there's a kind of like respect between the club and, say, a journalist. And I think the club will pick certain journalists as well. And in any story, really, I mean, the Bin Zaid picked the Sun, which was a bizarre one, let's face it. Why the Sun got exclusive rights, if it is true anyways.
Did they pay the most money for that?
Or were they paid? You know what I mean? They've been labelled corruption.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes, we must stress on that. It's a difficult world, journalism, and I know you're getting into that. And I work for a media company, and you've studied that as well. So I think when we get told as an employee of certain things that I can't tell you, even though I would love to tell you, There's certain things, like maybe Premier League fixtures, maybe something that's happening, maybe it's a product, maybe it's news, maybe it's like I knew well in advance of the Sky takeover. I knew for a long time what was happening, but I couldn't really express it. So it does happen in certain jobs, and if I said something, I would lose my job. Is it worth losing my job over? Definitely not.
Not at the minute, especially in the way the world's going. Rob, if the club does well, do the press do well? If the club doesn't do well, the press are maybe hard done by.
I think, if there's a feel-good factor and things are going well, then it's easy to report on good news. You're giving me daggers.
No, I'm just looking. I think you're right. I think it's easier to report news, but I think we'll get more clicks if it was bad news.
I'd say it depends on the clickbaity.
I don't
how
because
you
it's
word
same
it.
as it's the same as YouTube. If we put a video title up, you'll know this as well as me, that certain video titles will get more clicks than the other video titles.
Yep. Jonny from Newcastle Fans TV is here. Oh, is he? Not looking at any clicks, but if it's Irish, if it's the Irish guy,
Like for example, I could change this name of the title to HITC or Scarf Guy, and that'll probably get an extra few hundred clicks just because it's him, the character.
Is that all?
What league?
Just a name.
But that's the you can twist it a little bit.
What Lee does in the 9th minute will shock you.
Yeah.
And everybody just skips to the 9th
Yeah,
minute.
and sees that nothing's happened.
Yeah. But I think in an ideal world, journalists love to report good news because it makes their job easier. But for a business sense, for the Chronicle, their bosses will hate it.
Ramsey, are fan channels an exception because they don't have the contacts?
As in, they can say whatever they want.
Yeah, because they're a fan. They don't work for a
Yeah, no, that's why they exist. I think that's why AFTV. I think they were sort of the trailblazer, Arsenal Fan TV. And Robbie said, I remember Robbie saying the reason he started it up was because the fans didn't have a voice, and so basically the only people speaking about the club were journalists, and journalists obviously there's certain things they can't say. So no, the fans have. I think it's great. I think fan channels are brilliant because it gives them a voice. It lets them.
But then again, AFTV got told off by Arsenal because Arsenal didn't want that name associated with them.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's the reason why they had to change the name. We've been told off by Lee Marshall a few times. So there is certain limits you can push.
Would that stop you? Would that stop you from? I mean, maybe there's certain thing Lee Marshall's talking about. I don't know what that was, but like with most things, I mean, no, you're pretty honest in this channel. I'm very honest.
I think Lee Marshall would struggle because it's not like you can't stop someone having Newcastle in their name. It's not we're not putting ourselves as Newcastle United Fans TV. We're just Newcastle Fans TV. That could be Newcastle. We could be talking about Newcastle as a city. So I think it'd be very difficult for us to stop that name, and we'd have to really rebrand as NFTV. I don't think that would be a case. I think he'd find it very difficult to do something like that. I'm not saying that he would do that, but if so, that was.
I think what you are finding with the media side of stuff is, especially the fan media, is they're getting more pushed to the actual front of the media nowadays. Like for example, I've been on the news the last couple of weeks with the Rafa. You see other fan groups do it as well, and you see other clubs. Look at Adam McCullough. Adam McCullough I think he's brilliant what he does. I think he's really underrated from Full-Time Devils.
Oh yeah, in the study that I did back in the winter, there was a guy called Ramsey, forgot his first name, bit of an Egypt, said that fans are developing more of a voice in the local, in the media nowadays. You're right.
No, yeah, I remember that. I forgot that they did that. That was like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Hope you got a good mark though.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
But I think the question for that is because journalists cannot push the boundaries. We can push it over, but we can't go full on. Do you know what I mean? So if I'd done a personal attack on him, I would never do that. But I could upload a personal attack on whatever, a figure out Newcastle. That'll probably be shown at the club, and then they'll probably stop us at some point and say that needs taken down. Otherwise, I would fear that my season ticket or something would be stopped. I would never do that, but I think that's the limit that you could probably almost push it at.
Just finally, Kevin Nolan, who was a guest on TalkSport.
It's been on our channel.
Channel did a very good interview.
Joy to be part of.
It was, which obviously Rob, you had some involvement in as well. Were you disappointed, Rob, with the comments that he made on TalkSport? And TalkSport are a different kettle of fish. They very much is a clickbait company, and they have targeted Newcastle fans in the past when they've had Simon Jordan on. They've had, people that have really criticised Newcastle. Did Kevin Love really help himself over the last couple of days?
It's a difficult one. I think the opinions that he expressed when he did that evening with Mick Lowe's back in October, I think those opinions all have stayed the same, in the sense that he wasn't criticising Mike Ashley, but at the same time wasn't really complimenting him, wasn't really backing him. And yeah, TalkSport at the time, they've got a job to do themselves, and if they need to get some listeners in, and what brings listeners in, controversy to a certain extent. So
bad news gets clicks.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Ramsey, do you think it was stupid what he said?
It's definitely rubbed the Newcastle fans the wrong way. I put something on Twitter where I basically asked, was legacy destroyed? And yeah, most of them. Now, I don't know if that's because they're a younger audience, whatever, they don't really remember Nillan scoring the hat-trick against Sunderland. But yeah, most people are kind of annoyed with him. Listen, it's his opinion. It might not be his actual one. Maybe he's fishing for a job because he's out of work and there's jobs going at Newcastle.
Big job going at Newcastle.
Absolutely. So he could just be doing that, thinking of it, of his career first, which is what journalists do. Like we just said.
I'd like to think he didn't. Obviously, I don't think he meant any harm towards Newcastle fans and Newcastle in general. But I think it was a bit naive.
Shola got attacked, didn't he, when he'd said it and we've interviewed him? Maybe it's just people we interview.
Well, the thing is,
who's next?
Shola, wasn't he defending Mike Ashley a little bit, and now he works for the club,
so he can't say anything then.
But I think we all knew as fans Shola was going to get a role because he was already there doing a part-time voluntary thing, and when we interviewed him, we blatantly knew that Shola was part of the club.
Yeah, but back when he defended Ashley, which was like a year ago, that was he was probably thinking in the back of his mind, don't say anything that's going to anger Ashley or I won't get a job. Yeah, and it paid off for him. So
definitely. Well, part 5 is about the Lionesses, and also get your questions. If you've got any questions for us, we've obviously got Ramsey in as well. We'll get them for the last 5-10 minutes or so. We're back after this short music break.
Till I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go. And we'll grow in number,
Welcome back to the final part of the Football Fans. I'm here on Nova Radio Northeast 102.5 FM. We're here with Ramsey, Lee Lawler and Rob Spiro. We're going to talk about Lionesses and get your questions in as well. We're going to get a couple of questions in before we finish at just before 8 o'clock. England didn't win the World Cup, unfortunately. We lost 2-1 to the USA, and the USA are the winners, so congratulations to them. Megan Rapinoe on the score sheet for the Americans in the final. But we're going to touch about the semi-final, and Lee, I think we could have done a whole show just on this game, to be honest, but we've only got about 10 minutes or so we'll go and quickly mention Ellen White equalising for England after Press gave the USA the lead. Great finish, unmarked in the box. She just can't stop scoring.
Yeah, she's done really well, and she's a natural goal scorer. We were watching it in a New York bar. Have I mentioned we went to New York a few times? Yeah, I've got to get that in a few times on Rob. But we were quite intrigued to go to a US bar, and we had a couple of that American girl in front of us cheering, and I nearly wanted to just grab her.
The guy she was with applauded one of my puns I said to you.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so he was in my good books at least. And Jonny, your eyes have lit up big time.
Yeah, just nearly a little slip by Lee on the language there, but he didn't say anything, so I'll not apologise for anything.
Yeah, and nearly slipped, but I just wanted to, but
stop saying it.
Yeah, just stop
I think regarding the game itself, it was actually a highlight for women's football.
It was massive.
Yeah.
It was. I think everybody enjoyed it, despite not enjoyed it, but I mean, you would have enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it for sure.
He enjoyed it, being Irish, but I think it was a great advert for women's football. There's a lot happening. VAR. Ellen White was almost onside. I feel for her because in the semi-final as well, it happened again to her. But it's getting. I said this a couple of weeks ago. It's getting bigger and bigger, whether you like it or not. Women's football is being broadcast on BBC. Mm-hmm. First choice now. Peak times. It's on BT Sport. It'll just get bigger and bigger, and whether you like it or not, it's gonna go.
Can I throw out a question to you? I was having this debate with my mates back home. They were saying, because there's a massive gender gap between the male and the female. If a female gets to a certain point where she's able to play with the men, should they handpick the best players out of that gender league or whatever?
I personally wouldn't, and it's no disrespect to the female players. I just think it's physicality, isn't it? Really, if a male player was to join in the women's game, it'd be an unfair advantage physically. It might not be on the football, but it's just an unfair advantage physically. And I think for a woman to come in, I think we've seen it. You see it in charity games now, where women have played with men because obviously the pace is either slower or whatever. But so you're not getting that much of a disadvantage. They probably could hold their own, to be honest. But
there was a woman who played in the Serie B, was it?
Yeah.
A while back, yeah.
I think the only thing I would probably say is maybe the goals need to be just a little bit shorter.
Oh, you're moving the goalposts.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit. I think it's been mentioned because a lot of the ladies, obviously, because you've talked about the physique and stuff like that, is they're only about 5'7", 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
There's not many actually above 6 foot. I think the tallest player is the French centre back, and she's 6'2".
So to be for that,
the goalkeepers need to be tall, though, don't they? To be, to make the goalkeeping increase the quality of the goalkeeping.
So I would probably just make the pitch about 10 yards shorter and bring the goals down a little bit. It's not a massive difference, but that'll help.
So for you, then, you wouldn't mix the genders at all because the goals really.
No, I think the women's football is starting to grow and let it grow independently.
Yes,
I agree.
Rob, Morgan then made it 2-1 to the Americans with a lovely drinking tea celebration after a header. It's a bit of tongue in cheek, but America just had the stranglehold in the first half and had that advantage, and going into the second half they controlled it pretty well.
Yeah.
England have that disallowed goal by about a foot or a toenail. And then Steph Houghton misses the penalty for England. It was just very, very unlucky.
I think we were unlucky, but at the same time, the way that we played, I'm not sure if we entirely deserved to beat USA. I think to a certain extent we were lucky that we only lost by 1. I thought a few players just weren't very good on the day. I think it was only about half the team that performed, half the team didn't. You look at the likes of Lucy Bronze, world-class player, but
She struggled.
When she gets the hype of, she should be winning the Ballon d'Or in the words of Philip Neville, but then she had an absolute shocker in my view. And you look at, in the males game, you look at your Messi and your Ronaldos, they might have the occasional quiet game, but they never have shockers. Bronze, on the other hand, the other day, unfortunately, it was a shocker. A lot of things that she did try just weren't coming off, and it just gave away possession too many times, really.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate, but again, as we've all mentioned, the women's team is just improving, and I think it's obviously a massive congratulations, and England have finished 4th in this World Cup, and USA beat the Netherlands by 2-0. Last couple of minutes before we finish tonight, just a few questions. Just getting them up on my phone. Just on tonight. Let's have a look. No, we're not talking about Sharky. He does his own channel. Will Frank Lampard do well with Chelsea? Ramsey.
He's basically in the same boat as any manager who comes to Newcastle. Can't spend any money right now. So I think he's coming in at probably the worst moment, but maybe the best moment because he has such low expectations. They have such low expectations of what he could do there. He was never going to turn it down. I hope he does well because I do actually like Lampard. I think he's one of the decent, such a hard-working professional. And I think whatever he sets his mind to, but we've seen great players fail as managers before, and I don't think his time at Derby County is anything to really go on, considering they lost in the playoffs, so they do that every year. But I hope he does well.
Definitely. Would Joey Barton have made the comments that Kevin Nolan did?
Joey Barton's not afraid to speak out against Mike Ashley, though, so that's a different kettle of fish. And Joey Barton's not afraid to speak out against Sunderland, so I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Rob, last question from yourself before you toggle around back the corner to end the show for us. Will Sam Allardyce be a success if he was at Newcastle?
The term success in that question is very subjective. I would say, considering the owner that we have at the moment, success would be 17th or above. Allardyce, I think, is definitely more than capable of that.
I think he'll keep in the Premier League, but I don't think fans will want him back.
So, for me, it would be a shame to a certain extent, if he does come back because fans won't be happy. I would like to have him on the basis, look at who we could have instead. Allardyce, Premier League proven. I've not got much. I haven't got any angst about him. Managing Sunderland. He used to play for them as a player. I think he's a good manager. Forget the style of football. It's a result. Football is a results business, and I think he can get a team to fulfil their objectives.
And in the last minute, we'll just say it's the Copa America final tonight. Brazil versus Peru and Nobby Solano with the Peruvians. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah,
you got it.
Best of luck to.
Did you know his wedding was nationalised on live TV?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a start and a half here. My thanks to Rob Spiro. My thanks to Lee Lawler, and a bigger thanks to Ramsey because obviously he comes in when he can, and he's. Totally enjoyed yourself, haven't you?
I enjoyed it, absolutely. It's good fun.
You even have to talk presently about Newcastle.
Yeah, but I mean, at least we have things to talk about.
Got a few seconds for some puns.
Some puns.
What can you think of some puns? 20 seconds.
Can't wait for the punditry next year. That's probably That's probably the best that I've got for the limited time we've got. But yeah, thanks.
Speaking of puns, Pog Tom will be blocked very shortly.
Thanks very much for listening tonight. We're back next week on the Radio Northeast. Let's hope we've got a new manager. Bye.